Listen, this live stream is for adults only. It's for educational and entertainment purposes. Well, hello there, my friend. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Gavin. This is my channel. We like to cut through the fluff. Cut through the sensationalism of true crime. That's what we do here. We do our best. We're not always successful, but if that's your thing, you've found the right place, and I'm glad you have. Hey, this weekend there were a couple of updates in the case of the missing children, Lilly and Jack Sullivan. I've just got an itchy nose all of a sudden. Ages 6 and 4 up in Nova Scotia, Canada. I wanted to do a little... okay, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do, okay? I'm going to do the couple of updates. We've got some map time that we're going to be able to do here. And then there are some red flags in this case. I haven't wanted to say it. You know, last time we talked, we did watch the videos of Daniel, who is the mom's domestic partner, and Malia, the mother of Jack and Lilly. Daniel didn't really give me anything to be so worried about. Malia did. There were some red flags there that I really, I just didn't like the way that she was speaking. I didn't know what to do about it though. But I went around the internet and I found somebody who, the name of the channel is never a truer word. His name is Jack Fox. I do not know him. I've not reached out to him, but he said a couple of things that I agree with. So we're going to show a couple clips tonight, okay? Going to show a couple clips. We're going to listen to the interviews or the reports of the interviews from Malia and Daniel. And then we're going to watch a couple clips from Mr. Fox. I've linked to his channel down below, so to give him credit, and also if you like that kind of stuff, you can subscribe to his channel, which, I don't know, it's up to you. It's up to you. I don't know what his training is or his bona fides are. I went to his website trying to look for them. I couldn't find any, but hey, I mean, I have no bona fides either. And what he was saying makes sense to me. So we're going to do that. So the first thing that I want to do is let's go over to the RCMP real quick. And there were two press releases that they put out over the weekend. One on Saturday, this one, and then one on Sunday. And really their press releases, it's really the first line that really matters. Okay. So, according to the RCMP, they say ground and air search efforts were conducted today, May 17th, in Pictou County as the missing persons investigation into the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan continues. More than 100 volunteer searchers from Colchester, Halifax, and a whole bunch of other places, and the Civil Air Search and Rescue Association focused on specific areas around Geographic Road in an effort to locate Lilly and Jack and advance the RCMP investigation. The search was supported by Nova Scotia Public Safety Field Communications and EHS Emergency Preparedness Special Operations. Now, the thing that this is screaming to me is that they believe that Lilly and Jack, ages 6 and 4, can be found in these areas around, in this case, it was right around Geographic Road, right? So while they did put out the vulnerable persons, report out there to get word out, it does seem like the Mounties are focused on this area, and that leads me to believe that they have a belief that they're going to find the children here. Now, having kind of reasoned through that in my mind, the thing that I went back to is that both Malia and Daniel specifically were encouraging police to do an Amber Alert. Now, I'm just a guy in my office in Western Pennsylvania. So this is just my opinion, but it does seem a little suspicious to me that maybe the parents are wanting the police to look externally like there was an abduction here, when it appears to me that police, at least they're behaving as if this isn't an abduction. This is something that happened right here. So that was the first thing that touched me. Now, if we go over to Sunday, they say again, ground and air search efforts were conducted today, May 18th, in Pictou County, as the missing persons investigation into the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan continues. More than 115 volunteer searchers in all these, units focused on specific areas around Geographic Road, again in an effort to locate Lilly and Jack and advance the RCMP investigation. They were supported by the Nova Scotia Public Safety Field Communications and EHS Emergency Preparedness Special Operations. And then they, that's basically the content that I'm terribly worried about. So there is a person that made a map, and I zoomed out just for all of us to remember our geography, to remember where Nova Scotia is. But this particular Google map has, let's see, a couple of places on it. Now, here is the home of the Sullivans, right? This looks familiar from the air, right? If we go back to the pictures that we've seen of their house, I've been a little critical of this because it does seem like they're I'm always afraid to say this, but they're behaving poorly. Let's just say that. Okay. So this is that house, a little bit of a mess right here on Geographic Road. Now, if we zoom out, this is where they're saying the search effort is. So does it have a scale on here? I guess it doesn't. But a little bit down the road, that is where the search effort has been focused, according to this map. I have to thank one of my research team for bringing this to me. It was published in Newsweek. This is where the search headquarters was before, according to this map. Now, a couple of other places. Let's see. No, that's not it. Give me a second. There we go. This is their elementary school. So you can see they live quite a ways away from school. They would have bussed in. I'm sure. I don't know how far away that is. And then up here is the RCMP. We would call them barracks. And according to this, the children's stepfather, Daniel Martell, was questioned for 4 hours at the RCMP detachment in Stellarton. Small memorial for Lilly and Jack has been set up outside the building, including stuffed animals and flowers. That reminds me, I wanted to go to Crime Timelines real quick to see if anything had been added. I don't think anything has been added to the crime time. Maybe. Let's bring it over here. So, yeah, basically, they just updated May 17th and May 18th the search efforts. Sometimes, man, this is a great website, guys. CrimeTimelines.com. Okay, so that is what the official update is, right? Now, I want to bring you back. We're going to watch a couple videos here. We're going to start over here with Malia's only, it's a solitary interview that I've been able to find that she has done. We understand that shortly after this, she has actually left the area and she is with family. I know that they have, Daniel apparently had 2 children from a previous marriage or a previous relationship. And then Malia has the 2 kiddos, Sullivans, and then I believe together they have an infant. So apparently Malia has left the area. This is her one and only interview that she's given. I have bumped up the audio. I've put it on 2 different channels, so it's at least we can hear it better. Okay, here we go.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens, and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911.
She uses the word instantly twice. To me, what kind of stands out on this to me is that I it's just not believable. It's just not perfectly believable. We don't tell them, we do never allow them to play outside on their own. Well, they're 4 and 6, you've got a backyard. I mean, I've raised 5 children. I've raised 3 children, 2 are still being raised. Yeah, it would be okay to play in the backyard for a few minutes at a time alone. I don't believe it. That sounds to me like somebody who's trying to sound like they are a responsible parent, not necessarily that they are a responsible parent. Again, this is just me in my office in Western Pennsylvania with no bona fides, nothing. This is just my opinion. But it just seems kind of odd. Like, well, wait a minute. I hear silence. Let's immediately get up and spring into action. It just doesn't work for me. All right.
I had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been.
See, now this is the part that really got on me the first time. Like, if you're talking about the possible abduction of your 6 and 4-year-old children, there should be some kind of emotional response. It just, like, oh my goodness. I can't even believe how easily she's able to talk about, well, they may have been abducted. No, that is not a normal response.
But just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely...
That one kind of struck me as well. It's like, everyone loves them. She didn't say, I love them. I miss them. I want them home. It is, we want them home. We want them. Everybody loves them. And it just doesn't ring true to me.
Verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst.
So that to me sounds like a hedge. I want to remain hopeful, but considering the worst, like she's hedging for people to find out what she may have already known happened.
Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
Again, it's about her.
And I don't want to go through that another night without...
I don't want to go through that again. It's about her, right? So it's reflecting back on her. This doesn't seem to be externally focused concern.
them.
So yeah, that is the first one. Now the second one is Daniel, and it's part of a report. So there's a little extra stuff in here, but let's go ahead and
we were searching. We covered everywhere possible.
Wrong button.
Even in the first day we did. Even with me running through the woods, I was ahead of the helicopters and ahead of the drones and stuff like that. Screaming as loud as I can, and just until my throat hurt. Running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in a military outfit said I could go back into the woods.
Okay, so for me, that clip, again, is very focused on himself. But then at the very end of that part of the clip, you can see what seems to be actual sadness or actual remorse. So I was kind of convinced beforehand, Daniel probably doesn't know anything about this, but maybe Malia does, was kind of where I was going. But now I'm kind of reconsidering this. It's very self-centered, the kind of stuff that he says.
Days into the search for his missing stepkids, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, Daniel Martel is pleading with the public to keep their eyes peeled. But he has begun to lose hope they are anywhere in the vicinity.
They hate being wet and cold, so they immediately would have came right back into the house. The only two prints are right beside the house facing the road, and then that's it.
Martel wants the search to be extended to include provincial borders in case the children were abducted, a reality he says is becoming more and more likely.
Post any officers they can get at the New Brunswick border, PI border, and get them at every airport possible.
Martel confirmed that when the two children went missing from the home behind me, Lilly was wearing a pink shirt and pink rain boots. She was also carrying a white backpack with strawberries on it. Martel says although he didn't see Jack that morning, he is believed to be wearing a brown shirt, brown pants with a pull-up diaper on underneath, and blue rain boots with dinosaurs on them. He also refuted the claim that the two children are nonverbal, saying while they are on the autism spectrum, they are quite trusting and say hi to everyone. According to Martel, his side of the family are currently the only ones at Ground Zero after Lilly and Jack's mother left the county Saturday. But still, he remains, begging anyone with answers to come forward and bring his children home safe.
Anybody who has any information, or you think you've seen something or hear something, or any messages from friends about hearing something, just contact your local police services. Anything, guys. Anything.
Ella MacDonald, Global News.
Okay, so he's less concerning to me, but it was very self-centered, except for those couple times where he broke down. But I don't know if that is like actual worry or if it's more remorse. I don't know. But I have my suspicions that like the longer this goes on, the more likely it is to me, and I don't want this to be true, but the more likely it is to me that somebody did something to these kids. First I thought maybe abduction, but the fact that police continue to look out there on Geographic Road, they seem to be convinced that that's where they should be looking. Now, before we get into Never a Truer Word, again, the link is down in the description to his channel. I think I did 3 clips. They're all between 1 minute and 2 minutes long. But before we do that, let's head on over to what you guys are saying. And let's just see what you guys think here. Sheila says the children couldn't fly without ID. Sounds like he wants to divert the police. Let's see. I don't know where the biological father is. This is important. Scott's Last says, I believe they reported missing on Friday, but have allegedly not been seen since the Monday by the bus driver. And this is actually pretty important, right? If we go to true crime or crimetimelines.com, they do a very good job here, right? The Tuesday, the 29th, the bus driver dropped them off at home after school. Wednesday, they had no school because of a professional development day or something like that. And then it is Friday the 12th that they are reported missing. So it is possible that sometime on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, something happened to the children. And so Scott's Last, great comment. We want to believe the story that, hey, we just didn't, we heard silence and thought that was weird. We immediately got up. We immediately called 911. I want to believe that's true, but I think the likelihood is actually pretty low. Great comment. Thanks, Scott's Lass. Mandy, I have not seen anything with the other parents having come out to talk about it. I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It just means I haven't seen it. Patty Olson, I heard or read somewhere that the kid's mom was told to leave the house or child services would take them. I had heard the same thing. I believe that child is in the custody of child services. I'm pretty sure. Let me look that up. I think it's in, because I think what happened was Daniel was able to see the child. I'm not going to get stuck on that, but I believe that the child is not in their custody right now. Striving for Titus 2, she is so monotone and uncomfortable. I can't imagine my child being missing and not being insanely emotional. Yeah. One of the things that I remember, I was on Surviving the Survivor, and this had to do with the Ellen Greenberg case. By the way, oh my goodness, I was on well, it doesn't matter. The Ellen Greenberg case still has, like, the settlement happened back in February. Nothing has happened that I can see. Anywho, I was on Surviving the Survivor with a couple of guests talking about Ellen Greenberg. We were going over the 911 call, and this expert in, I don't know, in communications of some sort, talked about how, talked about believing Sam Goldberg when he said certain things. And so that got me to thinking about, okay, so are there clues in what Malia is saying or what Daniel is saying that are true? And remember the Ben Franklin quote that I'm so fond of, right? Half a truth is often the greatest lie. And I mean, really, he's saying half truths are lies too, but I take that to mean also that the best lies have some element of truth to them. So I went through that and I was like, man, I really couldn't come to an opinion on it, but I was really glad to have found never truer word. So we'll go into that here in just 1 second. Let's bring the kiddos back up. Desiree says that her demeanor bothers her. A couple things. KC32, I think she has some mental issues herself and also comes from an abusive background from her father. So many emotions may not what we would think to be normal. Devil's advocate. And I appreciate that. I love the whole thought exercise and trying to poke holes in things. And yeah, I mean, I don't know I don't know that as a professional quibbler I would quibble with anything there, other than I think that the human animal behaves almost entirely always the same according to our nature. I don't know that I said that correctly. I believe that human nature is immovable, unchangeable. And while somebody may have experienced real trauma in their lives, I would still expect to see that spark of human nature. But what do I know, right? What do I know? I'm just a YouTuber talking about this, and I think KC32, that's a valid point. Could their problems at school be because they're neglected at home? I don't know how to. I don't know how one would be able to tell. I don't know. Yeah, Daniel, she loves them so much, she left and went to another county. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we're all kind of on the same page here, especially the mom. That's pretty suspicious. And I'm really concerned. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to go over to Never Truer Word. Okay. Again, I don't know Mr. Fox. I have watched exactly one video of his, and it is this one that I'm going to show a couple clips from. But he brings up a couple of very good points. Remember, I have linked to him down below, so check out his channel, okay? It looks to be like a growing channel. And so let's go ahead and have a listen to what he says. This one happens to be, well, I can't remember. Here we go.
The real worrying thing from the mom was at the very end of her interview, and that was what I call concern for self, where she says, last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds, and I don't want to go through that another night without them. Now, that is really concerning for me because she's expressed no concern there for the missing children, no concern that they will be cold, wet, hungry, scared, in danger, or anything like that at all. Instead, she's expressed concern for how does she feel. And it was a worst night for her, and not because they weren't in their beds, but because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through another night without them. Not I want them back. It's not I want them in their beds, or they should be in their beds, or I want them home. It's I don't want to go through another night without them. So in the mom's interview, that concern for self really, really concerned me.
Yeah, that really stood out to me. I mean, we talked about it, right? Just she was all about the night was so bad because I wanted them there with me. I wanted them in their beds. It's just so not self-reflective. It's it reflects back on her. It's me. Concern. It's self-concern. That's the word that he used. And I think he's spot on. Okay, let's go to, let's go to this one. This one's a great clip. Here is Mr. Fox. Here we go.
Sheila brings up the other.
Wait a minute. Let me just stop here for a second. My Scottish friends. Okay, that is not how you spell Sheila. I'm just giving you a little, I love you. My Scottish friends, I love you. But Sheila, okay, I'll let it go. Let's back it up just a little bit. All right, here we go.
Thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a theme across both the ways that the stepdad and the mother talk, Daniel and Malaya, never mention the children by name. In any of the interviews I've looked at, neither of them mention the children by name. That will become very more interesting to you with something that we're going to look at in a bit. But look, why is that important? Well, nouns, pronouns, names are all very interesting when we use them because they indicate how we feel about things. So just
again, real quick to interrupt Mr. Fox. I don't know where he received his training. He could be self-trained. I don't know. But he's speaking authoritatively here. I'm not specifically sure what authority he has. I just kind of want to give that caveat. But I like what he's saying. Let me just back up here.
Nouns, pronouns, names are all very interesting when we use them because they indicate how we feel about things. So just look at me. If you call me Jack, you like me. It's Jack. I'm a mate. I'm a friend of his. If you call me Jack Fox, then maybe you feel a little bit of distance, or potentially there's a little bit of I don't want to say respect because that sounds quite big-headed, or a bit of formality to calling me Jack Fox. Then if you call me Mr. Fox, there's more formality. And then if you go into pronouns, him. Well, him could be the fact that you've mentioned my name once, so then you just call him him, or it could show a bit of distance and a bit of disdain. You know, it depends how it's said, but I don't want anything to do with him. It could be slightly different. That, it, if you call me those things, then that all goes further away and a lot more distance. So it's very, very interesting that I didn't see these guys talk about names once. Now, Laurie says stepdad mentioned their names, but mom didn't. Now, stepdad didn't in anything I saw, but I can't claim that I saw everything.
And I think it's fair also that, like, the interview that we saw of mom, that's edited. It's not. It doesn't just flow unedited. It's definitely edited. So we don't know, but it does kind of strike me as true that it's a lot of them and they, not a lot of Lily and Jack. Jack, when they're talking about his pull-up, it's he doesn't like the pull-up. He'd definitely take it off if it was dirty, that sort of thing, right? So I thought that I'd bring that up. The last one that I'd bring up from Mr. Fox, which is a little more formal, I know.
The next one is really
Never a
curious to
Truer
me, and that
Word.
is water there. It's just very, very curious why water would come up. So the mom said, it's been raining, so mention of water, and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. So this was the first mention of water, and that came up in the mom's interview. And then when I looked at what Dan said, well, he mentions water and water-related concepts a lot. So here, he says that he searched dirt roads and culverts as he waited to get for the police to get here. Now, nothing wrong with the concept of searching dirt roads and culverts. I mean, dirt roads, don't know. Yeah, maybe they would have walked down the roads. Culverts, again, I believe it was raining heavily in the area at the time, so looking in culverts is absolutely fine. But what I've got is why all these mentions of water. It really plays heavily on their mind. So there he talks about the culverts, and then Dan goes on to talk about running through water that was up to my waist. So another mention of water. As someone, Lena, actually pointed out to me, it's very hard to run through water that is up to your waist. Did that really happen? Or is this just another attempt at Dan to show us what action man he was in all of this search? Again, in another interview, he says, I did every dirt road and searched every culvert. So a mention of water there. Then Dan tells us they hate being wet and cold. So they would have come back to the house. Interesting there. Again, water comes into it. And also, which child does like being wet and cold? That's why did he feel the need to point out that these children hate being wet and cold? And I think there are some more mentions of water from Dan. Yes, there is. He says that the kids would get in any car as long as you offered them food or water. So we have this repeated concept from these.
Yeah, I thought
water.
Oh,
so repeated concept of water.
Yeah, that's the end. Okay. So I think that's pretty interesting. It makes me wonder if that is the reason that police are so focused on the area there at Geographic Road near their home. That I know that there are streams and creeks and stuff like that moving through there. Are they picking up on things that Dan and Malia are saying and therefore taking it as clues to that would indicate to them that the children are close by? Is that what they're doing? I do not know. Let me see if I can refresh this, and then we'll go through a couple more of your comments here. Okay. Let's see. Metaronin Gaming says the mom said they snuck outside and we didn't know. I need to get this out of the way. But she also said she heard them playing and was worried when they didn't hear them anymore. So she heard them playing outside. Yeah, that is a great contradiction that you've picked up on there. That the story does not make sense. It just, I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense.
Just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home.
I want them home.
What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing,
so when did they become aware of it? See, that is the question. They were outside playing. We weren't aware of it at the time. Well, how would they have become aware of that if the kids were missing? Who told them they were playing outside? What indication, what clue that they were playing outside? So, yeah, Metaronin Gaming, I'm on it with you. Let's see. What is your take on one of his interviews using past and present tense when talking about Lilly and Jack? I have not specifically seen that, but if he is, I think that's a red flag for sure. Lexi says, I think she gave them to a stranger and is trying to put an Amber Alert out to put attention on the people they gave. Well, okay. I don't have any indication of that. It's certainly a possibility, but I don't have any indication of that. C. Green says, I'm about 20 minutes behind the chat, but her interview made me think of Chris Watts. When he was on the porch, he was eerily spot on to hers. Not to say she hurt her kids, but she knows more than I think. It was eerily spot on. Oh, to her interview. I see. Yeah, typically what I think happens, and maybe I'm wrong here, but typically, if a child goes missing, unless there's a problem that the family is having with the police, they might do a call for help, and then they'll start working with the police, and the police will say, please don't say anything else. And they'll go, okay, and then they shut up, right? But like Chris Watts, like Scott Peterson, just talk. That is a bit of a red flag. Now, that would only apply to Dan, I guess, because Malia's only done the one interview that I know about. But it is kind of a weird interview. Barbie. Oh, Barbie says, Gavin, the dogs did not hit off the property because they were driven off. What do you think? It's possible. And like, if we look at the area, there was one thing that I saw in one of these pictures. I mean, let me see if I can find it. I thought I saw an ATV. Maybe I am wrong. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's an ATV in front of the car parked closest to the house. I'm not sure if those are all their cars, but yeah, I mean, when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, let's say for the sake of argument, we've got a Stephen Stern situation, not like the 5 years previous, but we've got let's say we've got a man who has committed a heinous murder of children, right? Well, this family is not in Kissimmee, Florida. They're not in the Orlando area where there are traffic cams and everything all over the place. They are in the sticks, the literal sticks. I mean, look at that picture. They're in the sticks. I think they could pretty easily take those children off site to discard them, bury them, whatever, pretty easily. I think they could easily. And I mean, people might have Ring cameras. I kind of find that unlikely where they are. So, yeah, I think it's possible. If the dogs don't hit outside the property, that's another big clue, right? They should be able to follow a scent, at least to a point of rushing water or something like that. They should be able to follow a scent. Great comments. Let's see. The mom speaks like she's going down a checklist. Definitely sounds rehearsed. It does a little bit. It does. It sounds unemotional. Yeah. Gavin, they might have fell asleep longer than they were admitting to and the kids went out. Sure. And you know what? If you live in the country, crying out loud. Now, I recognize that I'm an old guy. I turned 50 this year. I'm an old codger, right? But when I was 4 to 8 years old, we lived in the sticks. We lived in the same town as my grandparents. In fact, we lived in their basement for a couple of those years. And, when we moved out, I've told you guys about we lived in a trailer, a single wide trailer, and it didn't look anything like this. While it was old, it was kempt because it was my parents. But anyway, you could not keep clothes on me, nor could you keep me bound anywhere. They would find me 3 farms over in my little underoos, like just playing with whatever, cows or mink, or down by the river throwing rocks or whatever, right? These are country folks. These are country folks. The idea that they wouldn't let them out to play, even if they weren't being watched, I find unlikely. Even in today's age, I find it unlikely. You've got a gate around it. Now, they're in Canada, they're in the woods, there are wild animals, and I guess all that. But still, I just don't believe it. I do not believe. And it's sad because I don't want there to be any I don't want this to be the parents. I want this to be 2 kids that wandered off and accidentally got hurt or lost or whatever. I don't want it to be the parents, but it just seems that way to me. What time was the 911 call? Asks. That's a nope. Let me scroll up on the timeline. They were reported missing at 10 a.m. Reported missing at 10 a.m., but I don't know what time they woke up. Man, I wish I could wake up at 10 a.m. I'm running lean these days. Hey, by the way, just a quick little note for the channel. I typically do live streams every weeknight, 7:30 p.m. Last week, I think I only did 4 because of something that happened. The week before that, I was emceeing an event. Tomorrow, so Tuesday, May 20th, is the municipal primary elections. And for my day job, I'll be covering those. Those go way late into the night, so we won't be together tomorrow night, okay? All right. Let's see. Bring our victims back up here. Robin Bernardi, when the mom goes from past to present tense in the story, there are very specific details for very unseen things. Let's take a look again. let's go back. We're going to give it a go.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own.
Okay, she says they are not. It's talking present
We
tense,
always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them,
which I don't believe.
and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we
Which I don't know how they know.
can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing.
Past now.
But we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet.
Past.
And we get up, and I tell him,
Present.
my partner, Daniel, I tell
Speaking
him to hear the
present now.
kids, and he says no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them, and
All
I
this is
instantly just
present
call
tense.
911.
All of that is present.
I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone.
That's
They'll
present
talk your
tense.
ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids.
So she's not
I
talking about them
appreciate
as if they're gone.
huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but
Okay, that, guys, that moment, man, where she's like, it's a possibility they could have been abducted. That gets to me. I think I shared with you a couple days ago. I'll share it again just real quick, but it doesn't matter. I have been talking with a woman who has been a victim of DV for a long, long time. And she does speak about that sort of stuff as if it is normal human behavior, right? When Malia is talking about abduction, it does kind of feel like she is in a world where terrible things happen. And that's just where she lives. Right? Isn't that how that feels? I don't know. Okay, let me keep going on this. Here we go.
just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but
Actually, you know what? That means that they weren't letting people know that they were missing. Did you guys catch that? I hadn't caught that before.
it could have been. But just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing.
Well, have you gotten the word out? Right? It's so weird. So weird.
And it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and
okay, I'm going to stop it right there. But yeah, she does go back and forth. Like as she's telling the story of her and her partner realizing that they're missing, it's all of a sudden present tense. Of course, when she's talking about the children getting out of the backsliding door, which I don't know how she would know that, it's past tense. So yeah, that is pretty weird, Robin. Pretty weird. Hey, Denise says that she enjoys the channel. I'm glad. Marlene says, Gavin, I would be interested if the RCMP have checked medical records or lack of them. yeah, I hope that they're pulling into all those, and I believe they are. I believe they are. Shouldn't the detectives be asking why they weren't up early getting ready for school on Friday? I think that the detectives probably know that. And here's the thing. We don't know what the detectives know. And we know that Dan was interviewed at the RCMP station, the barracks or whatever they call it there in Canada. I'm not sure how much they've talked to Malia, but if we were to ask the detectives, they would say, we can't tell you that. So I don't know. I think the detectives are probably taking this very seriously. And the fact that they are continuing to look in that area, again, just tells me so much that they believe that they're going to find them there. Heck Jess says, there's an article that says Daniel reported hearing the sliding door open and close that morning. Not sure if you've seen it. I think it's the Halifax News article. Okay. She says that she didn't hear it, though. No, I think she says they didn't hear it. Is that something that is important? I mean, should we be... Let me just go back real quick.
Kids, we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make...
Let me go back.
I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens.
So she says we can't hear it when it opens. Is that some sort of slip? Or is it just, sometimes different witnesses see things differently from one another? Maybe that's all it is. So hard to tell, man. I think that if you guys watched the press conference that the Mounties did with the guy that was leading the search, the woman who was actually on the ground leading the search, the detective and everything. No, these are people that care deeply about these two kiddos. And I mean, I was really encouraged because one of them specifically said, we have children, inferring that when I see these children, I think of my children. And so I really think that the Mounties are probably working really, really hard. Diane Patillo says her interview sounds like she's answering questions. We're not hearing the questions. It could make a difference in how we're interpreting what's being said. That is a terrific observation and very true. Thank you. Lori is from Scotland. Okay, Lori, how do you spell Sheila? Okay, is it the Australian correct way? Or is it the Scottish way that none of us understand? And I'm just joking a little bit because I love you, Scots. Haven't spent much time there, but I have spent a little bit there. I don't know about drug tests. I do not know. Heck just says, Daniel definitely mentioned Lilly and Jack by name several times. I did hear him say neither of them mentioned the children by name. So that's just not true. Okay, good. A couple more. We've been going almost an hour. Meta Ronan says, I'm upset that she gave herself away when she was saying that they snuck outside. I wish I could type it verbatim. Oh, I'm following what you're saying, that she snuck outside. Yeah, again, one of those things, believe what they say, right? Interesting observation. You guys, you're on top of it. Sandra says, how does a mother leave town the day after her kids go missing unless she knows they're not returning? Make it make sense. I cannot make it make sense. I cannot. It is so strange. Mooney, 14 months? You kidding me? Awesome. Mooney's our OG, guys. She is our OG viewer. She is a member of my moderation team and is awesome. I'm wondering if I'm going to like run into Mooney in London. Mooney, are you going to CrimeCon UK? That's another thing, guys. I will be gone from the 5th to the rest of that week and the rest of the following week. But I have stuff for you, okay? Tamara saying, is there a septic tank or a well with all this talk of water? Great question. Oh, let's see. Scott's last, taking me to town. Sheila is the traditional Gaelic way to spell Sheila. Okay. All right. Fine. Fine. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Thank you. Let's see. I think I missed you guys are, heck, Jess sent me the link on Slack for the Halifax article. Thank you very much. I think there was another super chat that I missed. Oh, there it is. There it is. Rosie. Thank you very much for your super chat. I appreciate that. Guys, you all take care of me and I love you for it. I'm really, really grateful for it. I think that now is a good enough time. We've been going 55 minutes. We've talked a lot. I think that we can all agree that there is some shadiness here, that there are red flags that we're seeing. Now, there could be completely innocent explanations for the red flags, but taken in total, I think that police are right, probably, to be continuing their search close to the home. And if there are any other updates, we will continue to cover them here on the channel. One other, let's see, I just wanted to quickly mention, I already did, right? Tomorrow we won't be together because of my work. But just a quick moment of what do you call that? Promotion. Oh my goodness, guys. It is obviously late. My brain. If you haven't gone there yet, my website is gavinfish.com. It's really easy to find it. If you go to the support me page, since we're talking about you guys supporting me so much, which I deeply appreciate, scroll down to the bottom. You know, our lead mod, Autumn, she's not just our lead mod, by the way. She has many titles. She is the wrangler of researchers. She is the finder of teammates. She's got some of the I can't come up with her, but she's awesome. So if you would like to support Autumn, there's a button here where you can buy Autumn a coffee, and I'd appreciate it if you would. We will not be back tomorrow, as I already said. We will be back on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, I guess, thank you for being here. I bid you adieu, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.